Hello everyone, Rabbitearsblog here, and I'm going to do my movie review on Don Bluth's 1994 fairy tale film, Thumbelina. Now, here are a few facts about Thumbelina. It is based off the classic Hans Christian Andersen tale, and it is the first animated film to win a Razzie Award for Worst Song, which was Marry the Mole. But right now, I will give a brief summary on this movie. Basically, if you remember the original fairy tale from your childhood, you pretty much already know what this story is all about. But as usual with books, comics, or basically anything that Hollywood can take, the plot is slightly different from the original story. In this film, Thumbelina, who is voiced by Jodie Benson, meets up with the handsome fairy prince named Prince Cornelius, who wants to marry Thumbelina the moment he saw her. Unfortunately, at that moment, Thumbelina is kidnapped by a toad who wants to marry Thumbelina to her son. So basically, this movie is all about Thumbelina trying to find a way home and to Prince Cornelius while trying to avoid all kinds of obstacles that wait for her. Alright, so here are some things that I did like about this film. For one thing, I did like the animation very much as the characters in the film are so lifelike whenever they are showing their emotions through their bodily expressions that I often wonder to myself whether or not these are real people just being animated. Also, some of the songs in this movie were very memorable, such as Giacomo's song If You Follow Your Heart, which is apparently the film's main theme song, and Let Me Be Your Wing, which were sung by Prince Cornelius and Thumbelina. I must admit that I did like the voices in this film, especially Thumbelina's, who is voiced by Jodie Benson, and the mole's, who is voiced by John Hurt, since they complement the characters very nicely. And I was engaged in this film because I just love hearing the characters' voices. Oh yes, and another thing I liked about this film was the fact that the Prince of the Fairies, in this case Prince Cornelius, was introduced early on in the film. This really made his character stand out more than it did in the original story, and I can see that Thumbelina and Prince Cornelius' love for each other is genuine, since he does spend most of the film trying to find Thumbelina, even if they just met each other for like 5 minutes. I also like the fact that Prince Cornelius was one of the few characters in the film next to Giacomo who liked Thumbelina for herself, as most of the characters in this film wanted Thumbelina for a voice, and not for a kind heart. So that was a very effective message in the film that was trying to send to the children. True beauty comes within. Now, here are some things that I didn't like about this film, and it's quite a list. For one thing, maybe it's just me, but does anyone think that this movie was a little bit too much like The Little Mermaid? I mean, I know Thumbelina and The Little Mermaid were written by the same Arthur Hans Christian Andersen, but I'm referring to how much similar this movie is to Disney's classic The Little Mermaid. Well, for one thing, you got Jodie Benson, who also did the voice for Ariel in The Little Mermaid, doing the voice for Thumbelina. And then you have Kenneth Mars, who did the voice for King Triton in The Little Mermaid, doing the voice for the Fairy King in this film. Oh, and to top it all, the focus of this film was around all the characters loving Thumbelina's beautiful voice, just like how all the characters in The Little Mermaid adore Ariel's beautiful voice. Now, it's not exactly like The Little Mermaid, but those facts alone sort of told us what direction this film was trying to go to. Now, here's my theory on a successful movie. It's one thing for a film to be successful because of a good plot, creative characters, and great actors and actresses, but it's another thing when a film tries to sort of use the same formula that was used in a previous film. I mean, in my eyes, whenever a film uses the same formula from another film, it usually doesn't go well because the audience have already seen a film that was just like it. Also, this film has way too many villains, and most of the villains in this film weren't even menacing. Now, I don't have a problem with villains turning good or villains having conflicting emotions inside them, but in this film, because they outright shown as being bumbling fools, it's really hard to take any of them seriously. The only bad guy or villain in this movie that was possibly a little menacing was the Toad, who constantly threatens harm to anyone in his way of finding Thumbelina. Another thing that sort of irked me about this film was that they made Thumbelina into a one-dimensional character, meaning that we don't know much about her other than she has a beautiful voice. She wants to get home, and she wants to marry the prince. That's it. That's all we really know about her. And I found myself not really connecting with her because I don't really see what she can do for herself without constantly telling everyone in the film that she needs to find her way home and that she wants to marry the prince. The only moments in this film that I thought were very close to getting to know her on a personal level was when she was upset because the beetle told her how she was ugly, and when she was upset at being small. But other than that, there wasn't enough about her to feel her emotionally, and those moments were too short to really get to know her for who she was on the outside. Usually at this point of the review, I give out the rating reasons for these films, but since Thumbelina is rated G, there's not much to say about the rating. I would just move on, like I'm doing now. Overall, I give Thumbelina a 5 out of 10 since I think this was a very cute movie I think that the characters could have used a little bit more improvement, and it could have been a little more original to fully catch my eye. Dun dun dun! Spoiler alert! Alright, this was something that was getting on my nerves about the film, and this was the moments between Giacomo and Thumbelina. So tell me this. If Thumbelina desperately wanted to get back home, then why didn't she just climb on Giacomo's back and fly home? I mean, there were several moments in this film where Thumbelina meets up with Giacomo the bird, and all she had to do was ask Giacomo if she could climb on his back and fly her home. It wasn't until near the end of the film that she finally climbs on Giacomo's back and flies to the Vale of the Fairies. But at that point, I just got so frustrated with the fact that Thumbelina just couldn't ask a simple question about asking him to fly home. That movie just didn't faze me. Now, if Giacomo had attempted to take Thumbelina home the first time, but there were obstacles in their way that Thumbelina somehow separated from Giacomo because of the obstacle, then that would have been different, because then the plot would have made more sense at that point. Also, they waited until the last minute of the film to give Giacomo an injury to his wing, and while that goes along nicely with the original story, it still didn't have an impact on me because I was so busy wondering at the very beginning about why Giacomo didn't just take Thumbelina and fly her home himself. Well, that's my movie review of Thumbelina. And don't worry, there will be more movie reviews on the way. See you later.